Here we go. Small countdown, then we should be up and running. All right, James, good to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You have a very interesting company and it went viral recently, so we'll talk about that. But let me do a quick introduction for our listeners. So James Clift is the founder of Durable, which is a free website builder that uses generative AI to help other solo entrepreneurs create website in 3 clicks and in 30 seconds. Very interesting value proposition, very easy. And I think the platform does even more. It gives variety of tools like customer relationship management, a CRM and invoicing, automated reviews, analytics, and even an LLC registration. So so far you've raised 6.25 million from investors like Altman Capital, Torch Capital, Dash Fund, to name a few. Very interesting. Welcome to the show, James. Tell me a little bit. You're a serial entrepreneur. You founded before Karma Hire, Visual CV, Work Story, and few other more. And to fully understand the person sitting, across me, I would like to go back to your early humble beginnings to understand the context of what made you a serial entrepreneur. So what can you tell us about your childhood?
Yeah, for sure. So I think my entrepreneurial journey started, I was about 15 and actually started building websites for small businesses in my neighborhood. So I've kind of come full circle on that one, which has been kind of funny. My mom was an entrepreneur. She owned a store for 20 years of my childhood as well. So I was always hanging out with her in the store while she was working, and she worked super hard. So I think that was an inspiration. I never really thought about that being an inspiration, but definitely it runs in the family. I ran my web development company in high school. I started a home services business in university. So I was ran a window cleaning business, HD Windows, which is a great business. Ran it for a couple of years, and then after graduation, went back to web design development. So actually started an agency there, grew that pretty quickly, and then through that we built a bunch of different products. The goal was always to build a SaaS product. And we ended up building a site called Visual CV. So top 3 resume builders on the internet, grew that to about 4 million users, super profitable business. I grew that for about 5 years and then sold it in 2020. And then, it just started Durable. We're about a year and a half in now, and it's been a wild ride so far.
Amazing. Going back to the days at the store with your mom, what do you think were key skills that you brought with you, or key failures that you've learned that you said, okay, this is things I don't want to do again, and here's how I'm going to make them different?
I think the biggest thing, and I haven't reflected on this too much, but it's not so much I wanted to be an entrepreneur, it's just I didn't want to have a job. So it was more avoiding employment for as long as possible, because I didn't like someone telling me what to do at the end of the day. And I think when you start unlocking that entrepreneurial gene, you start to look at the world a bit differently. You have a job, and like window cleaning is a good example of that. Is, hey, I'm charging out my employees, which were my friends, for $30 an hour, and they're getting paid 15. They're happy to get paid 15, but I would never be happy to get paid 15. So just that division of, okay, you're the company owner versus the employee, that's just always bugged me. I think I always just looked at everything from every single angle. It's kind of being the annoying, rebellious kid to some degree. But it was always just, how do I look at this problem differently? I didn't really like school. I think that was just kind of, again, you're in this formulaic, boring system. It was, how do I make things more interesting? How do you look for the shortcut, the hack, kind of the more interesting way of looking at a problem? So I think it's just that curiosity, but also that avoidance of things you don't want to do that drove a lot of this initially. And that was my first goal, was just, hey, I don't want to get a job. I got a business degree in university, and the path was management consulting or accounting. And you look around and there's 20-year-olds wearing suits trying to impress 25-year-olds wearing suits. I'm just like, I don't want to do this. So how can I not do this for as long as possible? So I think it's just that initial, some of it's probably inherent, but also you start unlocking that skill. When you make your first sale, you build your first business, you get your first client. All that just compounds over a long enough period of time. And then you end up in a place where it just becomes less hard and less challenging. And I think a lot of entrepreneurship is hard just because you've never done it before, because the average path in North America is to go to school, go to university, get a bunch of debt, go get a job. and I think we just need more alternatives, right? Especially now when the world's changing so quickly. It's how do you just make your own money to some degree and build your own projects. And I think you learn so much more from that and just looking at the world a bit differently.
Absolutely. What is one skill that you think an entrepreneur should have once they decide to start a company? So I have an idea. What is something important for me to be building on that skill to go out and launch that idea? Is it marketing? Is it sales? Is it engineering? What has worked for you?
Yeah, I think this before the skill, it's really more of a trait, which is resilience. At the end of the day, it's going to take much longer than you hope it will. It's going to be much harder. You're going to fail 1,000 times to get one yes. I think it's just that internalizing that and being okay with, okay, I'm trying to do something really hard and it's not going to work the first time. It usually takes 3 years to build something with some semblance of success in this space, or generally any business. So it's just being aware of that and ready to roll with the punches. I think that getting your brain prepared for that, and you don't really know until you know, but just being okay with that like the default failure state is super hard, because most things that you do, you're not a default failure, but entrepreneurship, you fail and you fail until you don't. So I think it's just, getting that skill, getting that trait aligned and learning how to get rejected. I would say that is the most important thing, step one. And then in terms of skill, I think it depends on where your inherent talent is. So if you're really good at engineering, then build something really great. If you're a great designer, then lean into that and try and get customers around that space. So I think it's really leaning into the skill set that you already have and going deeper on that. So, and then you still have to be a generalist, but I'd say it's like 80% the thing you're really great at, and then learn the other things. And then there's usually easy ways to learn. Like there's a lot of resources out there for learning marketing, for learning sales. And at the end of the day, just go out and do it. And then that's the best way to learn. So, I'd say learn resilience first and then lean into the skill that you already have and get very, very good at that. And then ideas emerge from that, and you learn how to talk to customers. You learn how to, again, get your first customers, which I'm sure we'll talk about, which is the hardest step of the process. And then, just get after it.
Great advice. Thank you for sharing this, James. So Durable is actually playing in a field with a lot of large players like WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, Shopify. These are some of the companies that come to mind when you want to build an online business with a website builder. So as a new entrant, walk us through your thought process. Where did you identify that there's a gap, and how did you position yourself, given that, at the beginning you're starting from scratch, you don't have all the money to compete with them on brand visibility. So walk us, how did you identify that Durable needs to happen in this world?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to evaluate a market space. So one is just finding a niche, right? So scaling down, saying, okay, this is a very specific problem we can solve for a very specific customer, and we could be the best in the world at that. We didn't do that. We said, okay, this is the broadest thesis possible, but it's an unsolved problem. So the general thesis is it's still way too hard to start a business. It's this kind of convoluted, you have 12 different software tools if you're good. You're using Squarespace or Wix. You're using some CRM. You have to form your company somewhere else. You're buying your insurance. So just that process, it hasn't been solved yet. There's a lot of point solutions, but generally the tools are not as good as they could be. And I think there's another level to that level of tool set. So saying, okay, broad thesis, how do we make owning a business easier than having a job? And that's really the end goal, is we want to make owning a business enjoyable, fun, easy. And that is not true right now. It's a tedious process. It's annoying. It's frustrating. No one knows what to do half the time. You're Googling all this fake information. So like unsolved problem, somewhat solved by existing incumbents. Like you said, building a website is solved. But what we found is, one, the original thesis was building this full stack of products, right? So it's your website builder, your CRM, your invoicing, your back office, your marketing automation. There's about 6 different tools that you need just for a basic solo business as a consultant or a freelancer or a home services provider. So one, those have not been bundled up very well yet. So building the bundle, like your business in a box. And then what we found with that, it was growing, but not as fast as we wanted it to grow. But then all this AI stuff started happening, and it's always been like a high interest of mine, but that market just accelerated so quickly. And then it evolved to, okay, the vision was there, but can we use AI to make our product 100 times better and 100 times faster? And that's really what we found with the website builder is, okay, people were taking months or weeks to build a website before. Now they do it in 30 seconds. So you have an order of magnitude faster, better. You have this wow factor where you see it getting built in front of you. And it's actually either really good or pretty good. You're like, oh, wow, this is a great starting point. So I just think the speed in which we can get people online, that's really what's broken through. And then looking at competitors, I think the other piece of the website building space is it's typically not the end user that is building the website. Even on these like pretty easy to use platforms, it's an agency, it's a friend that knows technology. It's not the person that's running an actual business on their phone while they're waiting for their coffee in the morning, right? And that's the problem we can solve is, hey, you saw us online, you're like, oh damn, I've needed a website for 8 months and I've tried to get one built. I got lost in these other platforms, but boom, three clicks and I have one with a domain name. It's like, okay, this is actually pretty incredible. So I think it has to be that much faster, that much easier. And I think with this AI kind of revolution that's happening, it enables us to build products with an AI first lens, which means it can be that much faster and the AI can do more of the work. And as the person that's running the business, it's as minimal input as possible is what we're trying to solve for. So you just get something that you love very quickly without having to fiddle around with it.
Amazing. Very beautiful. So in just 4 months, you're now over 1 million websites generating using your AI tool. I think on your website, you're at maybe 1.3, almost 1.3. So before you hit that million, how did you acquire your early customers? How did you get that first few users to go out and say, yes, I want to test it out, and then share it with the rest of the world?
Yeah, I think there's the lean approach, which is you target customers, you'll do some outbound, you'll try and like email them or get in touch with them, which is pretty effective for like higher value B2B things. We're closer to a business to consumer product or business to solopreneur product. So we wanted to do something that had the potential of getting a lot higher volume. So one, we actually built the product first. So it wasn't very lean. We invested a lot of time and resources to building this very great product. But the key for us was setting a deadline. Okay, this is launch day. We're going to do this in a short amount of time. We're going to get something out to the market and then running this launch playbook. So that's getting as much momentum as possible. So that's really what you're looking for in step one. One, does anyone care about the thing that we're building? And how do you build a hook that is compelling enough that someone's going to try it out? So spend a lot of time on messaging and positioning. And what we thought through there is, like, what's a compelling hook? It's build a website in 30 seconds. Anyone who hears that's been thinking about a website, it's like, no way, I can't do it. There's no way that's possible. So one, the hook landed. And then we ran this launch process. So there's running kind of social media, right? So like getting the post out on Twitter, getting the post out on LinkedIn. Product Hunt was pretty effective for us just as initial thing to rally around. So getting people to use it on Product Hunt. And then if you time your launch correctly, if you put enough effort into getting some momentum there, then you're going to start seeing that traction. So I think it was really gearing up towards the biggest launch we could do after sharing it with our friends and family and everything and kind of getting some initial feedback, and then just making sure we compound on that. So once you do the launch, try and get more press, try and make sure you're building these like SEO channels. So you're positioning yourself in the market saying, okay, we're the fastest growing AI website builder. So we're landing for that term, and we're getting a lot of traffic from there. So it's really this like do everything, but like gear it up towards a big launch. And usually launches aren't big. Usually it's like, okay, no one really cared, but at least I got like 50 people trying this thing out. I think we had a compelling enough product that it started going viral. People started sharing it with their friends. We posted on Reddit. That was pretty effective for us. So different subreddits, we said, hey, try out this free website builder. And the feedback was pretty positive there. So basically a lot of hustle around a big launch. And then if you're lucky enough that you position yourself well, you've got your kind of basics down for SEO, for like title tags, descriptions, you start seeing that momentum. And then again, if it's compelling enough, you get some press and then it all builds on itself. So I think that was the the non-lean approach, which is build a really great product that people care about and then make as much noise as possible. And hopefully it catches, I think, at the end of the day. And we got lucky with this one, and it did.
Is there a specific messaging you used on Reddit? Because sometimes when you just say, hey, try my new website, it's like a promotional, they get you blocked. Is there anything specific that you used as a strategy to get that hook there?
Yeah, I think the key with Reddit, and like you said, yeah, it's a tough nut to crack because they're kind of mean sometimes on there. But there's certain communities too that are super positive. So we were posting more in the small business communities, and the less self-promotional communities. And also you can't be self-promotional. It's more, we're looking for feedback, I think is really the ticket there. So saying, hey, we're looking for feedback on this new product. It's free. Would love to see what you think, as opposed to, hey, we built this thing, go try it out. So it's more trying to start a conversation there. And then people are like, oh, wow, damn, this is actually pretty good. Or, the Reddit feedback is like, I thought this would suck, but it was actually okay. Like, and that's really the best you'll get out of Reddit typically. And then also just, I think picking the right wave to ride as well. So we were early on the AI trend, right? It was before ChatGPT. It was before Jasper, which is a big copywriting tool, announced their big round. So we're about 2 weeks before that all happened. But when that all happened, we were just a part of that conversation. So everyone's talking about, hey, what are the best AI products out there? What's the best AI website builder? So we just became one of the companies mentioned in all these social posts. All these influencers are talking about us. So it's really just, I think, spending a lot of time on positioning and figuring out exactly how you're going to communicate your value prop to the market is so important. And people don't spend a lot of time doing that. You kind of just build, and you don't think about the copy. You don't think about your messaging. You just build a really good product, hopefully. But all that has to come together, I think, to really hit these viral launches and get the momentum.
Absolutely. I think one of the most important things that attracted me to your value proposition is your pricing. So if the value is less than the pricing, no one buys the product. If the value is more than the pricing, someone will buy it. If the value is extremely higher than the pricing, everyone will buy it. In your case, it's free. And it adds a lot of value. As you said, it's a website builder in a few seconds. So why are you giving it out for free?
Yeah, we're actually a lot less free than we were a few months ago. So yeah, we've added subscription pricing as well. So you get to generate your website for free. You can share it. But if you want a custom domain name and analytics and like multiple, like more features, we are charging for it. That was actually a decision we made. One, it's good to make revenue as a business, but also for our customers, it is a very key part of their business, right? So if we need to stay in business, I don't want to be this product that just, hey, we lose money every month and your website that you built a whole company around is gone now because we couldn't keep the lights on. So that's actually helped our signups and conversion rate is being a paid product, because we get customers that are taking it seriously. They're not just playing around. They're like, hey, I actually want to build a business on this platform. And it's still super accessible. It's $12 a month at the cheapest price point. So it's less than your, I don't know, a couple of cappuccinos a month and you're solved for there. And I think that you have to, like, I want the value to be so much more than what we charge, right? So there's the website piece that includes your CRM, it includes your invoicing, it includes some marketing automation. We've got a new product launching soon that's going to basically, it's going to solve a lot more around like business strategy, marketing automation. So we want all that to be in a very low price point as well. But yeah, I think and also being able to see the product too. So you can still build a website without even signing up. I think that's been really helpful for us. You can just go generate a website, check it out, regenerate it, like see what you're going to get before you sign up. And that really, for something like a website, it's really simple. It's like, hey, do you like this or not? If you wanted a website and you like what this looks like, then you're going to sign up and go use it, right? Because why wouldn't you? It's like, it's something that's great. The copy's good. The images are good. The design's good. There's no reason not to sign up. It's a pretty self-evident product. We're not trying to solve a complex problem. It's, hey, you want a website? Here's a website. It took 30 seconds. It looks great. And then beyond that, it's how do we smoothly and properly onboard them to the rest of the business stack, which is something we're getting better at. But again, it's definitely a bigger challenge when you have more complex products and different workflows. But yeah, the first shot product is really simple and really easy to understand.
Perfect, perfect. So you have two exits under your belt. One exit is quite hard. Two are near to impossible. So tell us, what's the secret sauce to drive a successful exit? What needs to align? What needs to work?
I think it's resilience step one. I've been at it for a while now, so I think it's just time in the game more than anything. But with Visual CV, it was, I mean, profitable, cash flowing business. It took me 3 years to launch Visual CV, so there was the 3 year period in which I was making no money, and then trying to get a product off the ground that hit. So I think it's spending more time actually building the right thing is something that, like, it's going to be hard no matter what. But spending that energy on finding the thing that's going to be less hard in the future is important. And I think a lot of people overlook that. You have an idea, you just grind and grind and grind and grind, and then it's kind of working. And what you're trying to look for in a startup is it's actually working. It's not, you're getting organic momentum. People are talking about you. It's a grind, but it's not this like tedious pushing a boulder up a hill. It's the boulder is kind of starting to roll down the hill. And I just know so many people that are and I've been in that position so many times. When something's kind of working is the worst place to be, because one, it's never going to really work unless you find that right pivot, that right customer acquisition channel, whatever it is. But you're just, I don't know, you're sending thousands of outbound emails, you're getting on these sales calls that aren't closing, your product is just not growing. I think that's the hardest place to say, hey, it's not going to work, or it's not going to work to the level that I need it to work. And I think that energy is better spent trying to find something that does have that organic growth and that viral coefficient, or whatever it is that's like becomes slightly less hard. So I think I spent enough time building products that were not growing organically to understand when we had a hit on our hands, just to double down on that and just, use expend as much energy as possible to grow that as fast as possible. So that was Visual CV. And then, it was a small team, it was profitable. So pretty easy business to sell at that point, because it's just you can build a multiple based on cash flows. And then with my next one, it was called HoloPod, actually. So it was a remote work software tool. So that's a good example of, it was doing good, but not great. So it was pre-COVID, we launched it. It was basically a productivity tool for teams. So it let you know what status your team was in when they were working. So are they focused? Are they in a meeting? So kind of like a Slack plugin to, are you working from home? Just like trying to improve team collaboration. And especially with COVID, everyone's trying to figure that stuff out. So we got a ton of organic momentum. We're on the Slack store. Again, probably a good example of how to get 100 customers, our first 100 customers there. So similar playbook is choose your positioning, launch in the Slack store. We were ranking super well for some key SEO terms, which is Slack status automation. So there was demand for that at the time, is how do I let people know my status in Slack? And that was a huge driver of signups for us initially. But we ended up setting up a bunch of Fortune 500s like Uber, Lyft, big telecoms in Canada. So like huge companies were signing up. And then starting to get very, very slow viral adoption though. So we had 5 people on that team, became 6 people, became 10. Some teams got up to 30, but there's really no demand to pay for that product. So we had a few bigger enterprise deals close, but those deals took 6 months to close, 8 months to close. It was just a grind and pretty shallow product, right? So you're an integration within a different platform that they might not be paying for. So just getting over the line on monetizing was super challenging there. So with that one, it was, okay, this isn't going to be a massive hit. I don't love productivity software. I don't think I'm that productive myself. So it's not like the founder market fit wasn't quite there. And then from there it was, okay, let's find a home for this product, because we do have a customer base, good technology. And that was really reaching out to a bunch of companies that were in an adjacent space and just figuring out how to find a nice home for the product. So it was actually like a decent exit. There was some cash and some shares exchanged, but not a hit, right? It was definitely a sideways exit, if you want to put it that way. But that was really just, how do you sell a company that doesn't have a huge amount of momentum? It's really finding where the value is. And that was companies that had raised money that were trying to do a similar thing, that we were further along in terms of technology and customer acquisition. So that was how we found a home for that project.
Amazing stories. Thank you for sharing those, James. What is a principle that has worked for you that you could share as an advice with our listeners?
Yeah, it's not so much a principle, but I think the most impactful thing early on in an entrepreneurship journey is finding a community. So finding a group of people that are also trying to do the same thing. So not this idea of like, I want to find a mentor that's further ahead than me, but find peers that are in it with you. They're grinding through it. They're going through the same challenges. You need a text group that you can just share the real shit with. Otherwise, you're just going to be very lonely. You're not going to figure out what you're doing. And then the beauty of having a peer group over a long enough time frame is some of them end up incredibly successful. So you've started with 10 people that you're really close with, and then I don't know, 2 of them, like with my friends, 2 have taken companies public. They've raised hundreds of millions of dollars. Like I've done okay myself. So like now we've got this crew that was a bunch of rookies 10 years ago, and now we've got this great network, right? So I think that's been super valuable. And they're the people you can text at 1 a.m. on a Thursday when everything's blowing up. And I think that's been one of the most important things. And those communities evolve, but yeah, definitely just don't try and do it alone. Is something that I would 100% recommend no matter what. It's hard enough to do alone. It's hard enough to do with the team. It's impossible to do alone. So I think find that community first, and then that makes everything a little bit easier.
Who's your unsung hero?
I would go back to that group of 5 friends that I met, I think it was 12 years ago. So we were all sharing this dingy co-working space. And three of them are my best friends now. But again, like we just had so many, like every day we're in the office together. We're going out for drinks. We're talking about stuff. We're all trying to make this stuff work. So I think it's the people you can text, anytime about anything. And you can talk about big numbers, small numbers, like employee issues, whatever it is. I think that's like from an entrepreneurship standpoint, that's 100% the most important thing. And then from a life standpoint, I think it's just having like my wife's incredible, and just having that support at home while she deals with my craziness in this world. Just having that steady presence, I think. So like having the rest of your life being reasonably normal, I think makes this entrepreneurship stuff a lot easier. And she's not in tech at all. She's a nurse. So it's nice having real perspective on what real people's issues are, as opposed to this like crazy AI, whatever, futuristic stuff. I think it's very grounding, but also very valuable as well, just to have, a calming presence in your life that's not all this crazy entrepreneurs. You can't have that many. You can't have like all crazy people as your friends. Otherwise it gets a bit chaotic.
Absolutely. One last question, James. What's next for your company?
Yeah, it's definitely all systems go right now. It's the most fun I've ever had building a business. Team's great. We're cranking on product. The roadmap is super ambitious. So we're trying to build a platform. So we want to build the best website builder, the best AI-powered CRM. There's marketing automation. There's kind of more of the back office piece. So how do we automate your bookkeeping, your accounting, your finances, your business formation, your insurance? So it's really that abstraction of how do we make owning a business easier than having a job? How do we replace employers with AI? So as an individual, you can just press a button, show up, do the work, get paid, and you have economic freedom. So that's really our end goal. So super ambitious on product. We got to keep growing the marketing and the company and the brand and really getting our name out there. To me, it's like, building the right team to execute on this is mostly my job as the CEO, and setting the vision and direction of the company. So a lot of fun, a lot of work, but definitely full on right now.
James, we wish you the best of luck. You have a great product. Where can people reach you?
Durable.co. Sign up, check it out. And then I'm just, find me on Twitter at James Clift.
Amazing, James. Thank you for being part of our show. Wish you best of luck. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. You too.